Are Amazon Essential boots high quality and long lasting that you can rely on like they say, or is it just a way for Amazon to increase their profit margins, cut out the middleman, and continue to take over the earth? Today we're gonna find out by cutting apart one of their Amazon Essential Chukkas for the Chukka boot series to find out the truth about Amazon Essential footwear. So I like cutting apart a really cheap version or the cheapest version out there of whatever boot series we're doing. It gives us a really good low watermark to compare the rest of the offerings to round out the spectrum on how to judge whatever particular boot we're doing. But for this one, I didn't want to do the cheapest one available. I wanted to review an entry-level boot around that $50 price point to give us a more relatable and a price point that people actually are buying out there. So I went on Amazon, just searched for a cheap Chukka boot, and they kept showing me this one, and I guess I never really thought about what Amazon Essentials was until this video, and that's how this video ended up being a lot about Amazon Essentials and less about the low watermark for this series, because it's really interesting. So let's go over the boot information and then talk about Amazon Essentials. So the brand is Amazon Essentials. The style is the Cadence Chukka. The color is brown. They weigh 1 pound, 2 ounces. They retail for $42.80, and they don't say where they're made. They don't say on the Amazon site. They don't say on the box. They don't say on the inside of the shoe. So I don't know where it's made, but I think it's a fair assumption to assume it's made in China. So now, what is Amazon Essentials? Amazon Essentials, in their words, is focused on creating affordable, high quality, and long-lasting everyday clothing you can rely on. Each piece is put to the test to maintain the highest standards of quality and comfort. So Amazon Essentials is a private label owned by Amazon, sold on Amazon, and competing against non-Amazon boots and shoes on their own website. They don't expressly say this is a better product per dollar, but it seems like that's kind of the general marketing tactic, is that it's Amazon saying, because we own this and because we're selling it, we're cutting out the middleman and we're selling you a better product for less. And that's the benefit to the consumer if done correctly. So what's the benefit for Amazon? Well, usually a company like Clark's will sell their products on Amazon.com, and Clark's makes the majority of the profits from that product being made and sold. And then Amazon just takes a few dollars off the top to sell it and to facilitate the selling of the product. Now imagine if Amazon owned Clark's. Then Amazon would be making that money, the margins from that product being sold, and the money made for facilitating the sale. So you start to see why Amazon would be interested in doing so many private labels and why they've been pushing so many private labels over the last 5 or so years. So the whole question of this video is, are you getting a higher quality product for a lower price because Amazon is cutting out the middleman and everything we talked about? Or is it just a way for Amazon to sell a cheap product and sell it under their name, cut out the middleman, and increase their profit margins by selling an inferior product at maybe a little bit higher price or the same price that everyone else is selling their cheap products for? So to find out, let's start going over the information about this boot we can gather before we cut it in half, starting with the upper. And this looks like leather, but it's not leather. This is fake leather, and it's kind of hard to tell because you can't see a cross section fully. And one foolproof way to tell if it's fake leather, and we covered this more thoroughly in the Expert's Guide to Thrifting Boots or Buying Used Boots, and all that stuff is applied to new boots. It's basically how I judge boots. But if you want to watch that, I'll put a link in the description. But what you do is you bend the leather upper, and if it wrinkles like that, it's a sign it's a fake leather. Leather does wrinkle like this, but not nearly as severely, because a fake leather usually just has a little foam layer on top with a plastic coating on it, and that foam doesn't have that fiber structure to prevent it from really wrinkling like crazy. So if you see that, it's fake leather, and that's not a good sign for this shoe quality-wise. Most boots around that $50 price point aren't made out of real leather, but you can find some out there. Moving to the inside, once again, we've got more fake leather. So this is a micro fleece lining that's made to look like a suede leather. And if you look really closely, you can see that fabric structure underneath that holds that microfiber together. And I hate fabric linings because it wears out so much faster than leather. Like if you ever had a pair of tennis shoes with a fabric lining near the heel, it always wears out. The insoles that are fabric, they always wear out. Leather is just a much better product, but it is a $50 boot. Next to the construction, you might look at this and think, this is a Goodyear welted construction. I see the stitches on there. I see that the welt is a separate part from the outsole. It looks like the stitching's real. This is a Goodyear welted shoe for 50 bucks. But this is a fake Goodyear welted stitch. And you can tell that by just pulling that upper away from the welt, and you can see that there's glue in there. And if you saw stitching in there and it wasn't glued, there's a good chance it's a Goodyear welt, but even then it still can be scary. And there's fake Goodyear welts. That's in the Expert's Guide to Thrift video as well, but this is a fake Goodyear welt. It's more than likely just a glued construction, which means after a little bit of wearing, this whole sole could just come off at any time if it gets too hot, if you wear it too much, or if the glue wasn't applied correctly. It's just not a safe way to build a shoe for longevity. Next to the insole, so it's a non-removable insole, which isn't too big of a deal, but it feels like it's removable, but as soon as you start peeling it up, all that foam in there that seems really fragile just starts disintegrating. And then to the outsole, so this is maybe the one potentially redeeming quality of this shoe, is this outsole is a rubber outsole, and it has more of a bouncy ball rebound to it compared to some of the other cheap shoes we've cut apart that are from like the cheapest boots out there. It has a cheap rubber outsole, has a harder, less reboundy feel. So this might be a decent outsole. I guess we'll see when we get it cut in half. And finally, to the fit, feel, and look of these. So I've only worn these for like maybe 30 or 40 steps, so it's hard to say exactly, but they feel okay underfoot, they fit fine, and they even look pretty decent when you pull them out of the box. But the problem is, after you've worn them for 40 steps or 40 feet, they already are creased like crazy. They're already looking like they've put a few hundred miles on these things. Okay, maybe not a few hundred miles, but a good amount of miles on them. And you might be thinking, okay, well, Weston, that's a pretty hypocritical statement because you always say you love worn-in boots and shoes, but there's a huge difference between a really worn-in pair of nice high quality shoes or boots versus a really worn out cheap pair of shoes and boots. Higher quality materials age more gracefully, they develop a deep patina and rich color, and the functionality of the product isn't compromised by the aging of the product. Versus a cheap product, your most comfortable day is gonna be the first few times you wear these, and then the comfort goes downhill and the look goes downhill, and these wrinkles turn to splits and splits turn to flakes coming off. And not only do they look terrible, but they feel terrible. This is a textbook example of the difference between breaking in and wearing out. So that covers everything that we know about these shoes before we cut them in half, so let's cut them in half. This is a cheap shredded memory foam pillow you can buy on Amazon. This is a Saybrook pillow, the sponsor of this video. Let's do a quick 2-point comparison to show you that you really do get what you pay for when you buy stuff on Amazon. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is the adjustability. The pillow you can buy on Amazon is not adjustable in any way unless you literally cut the seam, pull foam out, and re-sew it back together. The Saybrook, on the other hand, is made to be adjustable, and you literally just unzip it, pull some foam out, and stuff it in the packaging it came in so you can always refill it later, so you can dial in the height and the density of the pillow to fit you perfectly. The second thing is the foam difference between these two. So this pillow you can buy on Amazon is a bunch of different densities of foam, different sizes of chunks, and there's a lot of filler and really hard chunks in here. You can hear how hard this chunk is. Versus the Saybrook, it's evenly cut, brand new foam with the same density, the same material, so you get a really even squish and consistency underneath your head. And the cool thing is the owner of Saybrook is a fan of the channel, so before we even started talking about the sponsorship, he sent me a few of these pillows to try out, and I like the fact that it combines the best attributes of a feathered pillow and a memory foam pillow, because you get that adjustability and you can kind of move it around like a feather pillow, but you also get that support and the squish and the consistency and longevity of memory foam. And for me, I'm really picky about the height of my pillow, so being able to adjust it in a clean and easy way to store it later it was the thing that won me over. So if you're in the market for a new pillow, check this one out. It's a really good one. I've been sleeping on it for the last couple months. And as that old saying goes, invest in your boots and in your bed, because if you're not in one, you're in the other. And this is a pillow, not a bed, but it is a bed for your head. So thanks again to Saybrook. Okay, I got them cut in half pretty easily too. And it's not looking good, but let's see what's inside. This is a book that you can and should judge by its cover. All the bad signs we saw on the outside were just indicators of worse stuff on the inside. You know, this insole that was non-removable and the layer of foam underneath is literally the worst quality foam I've ever seen inside of a shoe. It's so crumbly and so weak that it's only a matter of time that it completely disintegrates under your foot. Then the lasting board underneath is it's even thinner than these two cheap versions we've done before with the $7 Amazon boots and the Walmart duck boots. It's thinner than both of those insoles and it's just as fragile and just as weak. The Shank is a really flexible and has no structure to it. It might as well not even be there. So you might be thinking, what did you expect from a $42 pair of boots? Well, compared to the other cheap boots we've cut apart, I expected more, because I would say it's pretty arguable that all three of these boots that we've cut apart, I would say they're all the exact same quality. There's nothing in any of these boots to say that one's better than the other. And it is completely glued together. You know, I'm positive I could just rip this thing apart. That's not what you want to see inside of a pair of boots that you are wanting, that is claimed to be high quality and tested and durable and long lasting. You don't want to see that. It's just not a great sign. So are there any redeeming qualities to this shoe? I would say the outsole's okay. I don't think it's a high quality outsole by any means, but I think it's decent. But literally everything else is terrible. So to me, it's pretty clear that this isn't a higher quality product sold for a better price, or a way for Amazon to sell better priced products, the higher quality products for a lower price. It's pretty clear to me that this is just a way for Amazon to increase their profit margins by cutting out the middleman. Now that they've established this platform that everyone relies on, they're coming in and they're just seeding their own little private label products to make potentially exponentially more money than what they were making before, which is, it's a smart business move. I respect it. I think it's within their right. It's just, you just gotta be careful with it. If you're banking on Amazon being completely honest about how the products are high quality and tested and built to last, don't believe them, because it's complete bull. So let me know what you guys think. Have you owned a pair of these, and was your experience as bad as I assumed it was, or was it okay? You know, maybe I'm wrong. And we got lots of fun Chukka boots coming up. Here's the ranking for these Amazon Essential boots on the Spider Graph, the Radar Graph, the D&D plot, as many people have said. We just need to come up with a name for it. So let me know what you want me to name this. And thank you guys so much for everything you do. See ya.